welcome to another episode of Our Table is Ready. My guest today is Lallie Goldmas. I met Lallie, we were in a peer support specialist training, and as we were going around the room introducing ourselves, she mentioned the year that she got sober, and then I mentioned the year that I got sober, and it was the same one, and she yelled out, "Classmate!" And so I knew right then that we were going to be friends. And I'm so excited. She's got an incredible story. She's from right here in Columbia, South Carolina, and has a lot to offer, not just the history of Columbia, but her recovery story as well and that journey. And I'm just real excited to have you. Thank you for being here, Lallie.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for inviting me. I'm real grateful to be here.
Good. We're grateful to have you. Yes. Tell me, so you grew up in Columbia in the Waverly section.
Right down the street. The street.
And both parents, your mom sounds like an incredible person. Tell us a little bit about your mom.
My mother was a very, very independent woman. She was very independent. She had her own business, Johnson's Nursery, right there in the Waverly Community. It was housed in our home, and a lot of children attended Johnson's Nursery, and they're grown now, of course, and they always remember and always reflect back on my mother's nursery and their experience there. I went there. I was a valedictorian.
No nepotism there.
Yeah, a little nepotism. I was a little nepotism there. You know, she was very, interested in getting me kind of, moving me forward rapidly. And so, she had me reading the newspaper and stuff at 5 years old. Yeah. And so when I was the valedictorian of the graduating class that year, I don't even remember what year it was, but anyway, but I do remember the first two lines of my valedictory speech. And she said it was, "Time marches on, it does not stand still." I'll never forget that. I don't remember anything else, but I remember those two lines. Time marches on, it does not stand still. We lived in the Waverly Community, and it was truly a community at that time. There were professionals that lived there, ministers, teachers, a library. We had a library called the Waverly Library. A hospital called the Waverly Hospital, Waverly Good Samaritan Hospital. It's right across the street from St. Martin de Porres Church. It was just a community of grocery stores and little small independent stores, seamstresses, and it was just a community of people. Everybody knew each other. It was truly a village where a child could come up safely, and everybody knew where you were supposed to be at a certain time. Yes, what time you got home from school and everything. So it was truly a community at that time, and my mom was a very integral part of it. My father was the first black telephone installer repair person, because remember now, during that time, we're talking about in the early 60s, during that time, it was a lot of change going on, and it was a lot of turbulence going on. Telephones were new, relatively new, especially telephones in everyone's home, and they were being installed in people's homes and whatnot at the time, the rotary dials. In the black homes, the installer repairmen were hesitant or did not want to go into the black homes, for whatever reason. Right, yes, exactly. And it's only because of, the belief systems and everything that was going on during that time. And so my father worked at Southern Bell, and he was a custodian, a janitor at the time, and so they trained him to be an installer repairman. And he became the first black installer repairman here in Columbia to go into the homes, into black homes, and install telephones, because it was booming business. Even then, it was booming business. Everybody wanted a phone, and so wanted to make sure that everybody got a phone.
Could he go into the White Homes?
He could, but remember, at the time, a lot of times they were refused to allow black people into the homes other than to work.
You went to private school, and then did you go to college?
I went to college. I went down to South Carolina State College. It's university now. So by the time I got to South Carolina State, I was just ready for something different. I was just ready for, whatever an HBCU had to offer, historically black college and university had to offer. And it was just wonderful, being there and learning about black history.
What was Columbia like growing up for you? The air about Columbia, what was it? What was going on? Columbia
was a great town, and it still is. It was a great town. My little corner of the world was in the Waverly Community, but of course we shopped where we could. One of my favorite stores to go in was Crest. I liked Crest, and Crest had a
Crest department store.
Crest department store. Let's see, Crest was on the corner of Taylor Street and Main Street. Right across was McCrory's. They used to cook donuts. You could smell the donuts all over the block. And right in front of that was Woolworth. So there were a lot of little department stores. We call them dime stores. Stores. Yeah. And there was a lunch counter there in Crest, but we couldn't have lunch there. My mom would go in there, and at that time, my mom was a school teacher,
Had owned her own business and was a school teacher.
And she had gotten, had stopped with the child care, and she went back to school, graduated, started teaching. And we would shop there in Crest and and spend her dollars. But as far as sitting at that lunch counter and having lunch, it just didn't happen. Just wasn't going to happen. It's hard to believe, isn't it?
Hard to believe.
It's hard to believe. But those were the times. Those were the times. And I haven't seen anything happen, since I've been in the world. I haven't seen any change take place too much peacefully. That kind of change, it comes with a lot of strife. It comes with a lot of courageous people. And people who are not afraid to take a stand. My mom was one of those kind of people, she was really afraid. And you know me for yourself, I can talk. Okay, and she was afraid that during that time, and I really understood, especially here in the South. See, we grew up with that kind of fear. You never know when your dad is gonna go out and go to work, and never come back. He may have gotten kidnapped, he may have gotten killed or arrested and died in jail. These kinds of things were stark realities for us. You never know when your little girl is walking home from school, like I did every day, walking home from school and get kidnapped and never seen again. These things were stark realities even in Columbia. Now I don't want you to think that it was bleak. Because we had wonderful times growing up. I mean, I had a wonderful childhood. I had both parents. I had sisters. I had next door neighbors. We sat outside and jumped rope and skated and rode bikes and stuff and had to be in the house when the street light came on. Wonderful times. But the reality is that there were bad times as well.
Right.
Yeah, and we just learned how to live, how to, operate in the area and in the realm that we needed to operate within our community, and when the time called for it, to be bold, to be brave, to stand up, because that's the only way that things got changed, is if you stood up for yourself.
Right.
I've been living underground. You've been digging holes, trying to make some light shine down into my soul.
I was 17 when I went to college. It had just turned 17 in April. I went to college in August of 1975. They had me all packed up and everything, and the whole family went down, and it was a wonderful adventure for me, being away from home for the first time, having to make some very important life-changing decisions at that time. But I enjoyed, the freedom. I enjoyed the camaraderie. I enjoyed the games, the band, the village. Once again, I was in a village again, and it was great. In 1976, though, I went to this party. Okay, I went to a party in 1976, and I didn't come home from that party until 2003.
I know that party.
Yeah, you were at that party. Yeah. I didn't come home until 2003, and that's where, I was really introduced to, the drug world, the alcohol, and really enjoying it, really liking it. Okay, I liked it too much. My studies were affected, but I was always, pretty quick and pretty smart to catch up on things. And I met this guy in 79, and I was really tired of school, and I married this guy and dropped out of school right the year I was supposed to graduate. And I didn't think that there were going to be any other opportunities. I just had all these visions of the white picket fence and, the 2.5 kids and having a wonderful home, but it didn't quite work out that way. He was an alcoholic as well, and the two sickies just do not make a wellie. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't. And so it didn't last very long. However, the best thing that came out of that marriage was my oldest daughter. She was born in 1980, and it's just been a joy. She's just been a joy in my life. It's been a joy in my life. I did go back to school, though.
Okay.
By the time my baby girl, got of age, she asked me if I wanted to go back to school. And of course I did. I wanted to go back and finish up. I only had like a year and a half, maybe, just a year. And so I went back to school, and I finished down at South Carolina State in 1983.
Were you still married?
No, by that time we were separated. Not divorced yet, but we were separated. And I was a single parent. One of the things that I had to do was I had to finish school, go to school, and I would come home because I was down in Orangeburg Monday through Friday, and I would come home every Friday and be mom every weekend. It was just a lot of work, a lot of commitment, to finish my education and to be a mom.
Was that party still going on?
The party was still going on. Mm-hmm. The party was still going on. During that time, partying was different. Partying, you could kind of integrate partying in with everything that you were doing. And I just, included it in my daily activity. It wasn't a big deal at the time. I managed, I finished school, with honors. I was a mom. I got a job teaching. I got certified by the state of South Carolina with a teaching certificate. All of the things that, I needed in order to be a mother, be a productive member of society. Mm-hmm. I did those things, even, while I was smoking and doing those kinds of things as well. When I graduated, I worked for a while, teaching school for a little while. I even went and got a master's degree. And I stopped doing everything. I wanted to focus on getting my master's degree. And so I got a master's degree from Cambridge College in Boston, Massachusetts. I went up there for 5 weeks and did intensive study. And so I knew that I couldn't be smoking weed and carrying on in Boston. So,
because when you said you were smoking in college, you were smoking weed.
Right.
Okay.
Smoking weed. I went and got my master's degree in 1995. And I had to do a lot of intensive study, writing a thesis, and I didn't want any kind of distractions. And so I did that and graduated and got my master's degree in education, which was a big milestone. But then I celebrated. By smoking a joint. And it's so strange now that I think about it. It's so strange. I had that joint in an old diary of mine, and that joint must have stayed in that diary for years. And I remembered that it was in there, and that's what I celebrated with. And that just opened the door. And I know that if I stop for any period of time and I do anything, it just opens the door. It just lets the genie back out the bottle all over again. It'll start me on that run all over again. And that was in 90. I finished up in 95. I celebrated in 96. And it was on from that point on. It wasn't, to the point where I could not function. I guess I was one of those functioning, addicts or functioning alcoholics, functioning people, that could just get everything done and still manage. I wasn't out of control yet. I hadn't tipped over the cliff yet, and that yet was yet to come. Okay, because I taught school for a lot of years, and I would always tell my students, and I taught special education in Denmark, South Carolina, Camden, South Carolina. I even taught it to college level, teaching other college students how to become teachers, and so, but I hadn't tipped over the cliff yet. And I was always telling my students, don't get in trouble. Don't have to go before the judge. Try to, do what you need to do. Get your education. And guess who had to go before the judge? Me. I did, I had another child in between there, and towards the end of the road, this was around 2001, right along in there, I did have some trouble. I did have some legal issues. I did get arrested for possession, of cocaine, and I lost my career. I gave it away. I don't say I lost it. I gave it away because, I had choices, and one of the things that I've learned about today, in doing the work, because staying in recovery requires a lot of work. And I take responsibility for my actions. I don't say that I lost my career. I gave my career away because I made the choice to do the things that I did, knowing full well that I had children that need to be cared for, knowing full well that I had, bills and whatnots to be taken care of. I had commitments, being a part of other organizations, but I made choices in my life that weren't good choices, especially being under the influence. And so I gave a lot of things away. I gave the career away. I gave a lot of community ties away, gave relationships away. And it was a really dark time after that happened for me. It was tough. So my arrest was on TV.
Oh.
It was on all 3 channels.
I was going to ask if your parents knew. Yes,
they knew.
What was that like?
Oh my goodness. Very, very hurtful, very embarrassing, very shameful. It was bad. It was really bad. Because now everybody knows my dirty little secret. See, during the daytime, I'm telling, my students, do this, make sure you do this. And at nighttime, I become this totally other new person altogether, and it talks about, and I'm sure you done it, read about it and experienced it in your own life, about how addiction makes you become 2 people, and so, and that's exactly what had happened with me. Of course, the teaching career ended, especially in the state of South Carolina. The state of South Carolina has long-term memory. They don't forget a thing here in the state of South Carolina, and my certificate was voided out, and my teaching certificate was voided out, and it was just real difficult for me to, try to maintain at that time, and I sunk to a all-time low. The relationship between me and my youngest daughter, she was in school at the time, and I was very concerned about her and how she was going to be treated at school because it was on the news. If it hadn't been on the news, it's like with the recent trial and whatnot. If it hadn't been on the news, then we might have been able to contain it, in the community. But it was on the news, and everybody found out. My family, my church members, sorority, everybody knew what had happened to Lallie. And so I wanted my daughter to be able to go to school and not get teased and picked on for having a crackhead mom. But she, in talking with her later on, she did get teased. It happens, but she grew through it. And so she grew through my recovery as well. She's been through, the whole step of the way with my recovery. But it has been, very rewarding, for them to experience recovery along with me. It's been very rewarding. And they've grown too. I look at crack as being something that was made in the devil's workshop. Mm-hmm. I mean, there is nothing I don't think there's anything like that at all. That took, smoking that, using that drug took me to places that I never imagined I would go. You're talking about someone who has done a lot of work, in their profession, doing a lot of study in their profession, helping a lot of people, and using this particular drug, and it takes you to the place where you are stealing, where you are manipulating. Let me tell you this, I'll make you laugh. When I was smoking, right, and the money would run out, okay, I had this thing called my gas can line, okay? I had a car, and I would park it right about a block away down in 5 Points, and I would turn the flashers on, right? I needed money. And so I would get now mind you, I'm not working anymore. I've been arrested and I'm not working anymore. So I would get one of my old school ID cards, and I would go down in 5 Points, and I would say, "Sir, stop a white guy." You would be wonderful. You would have been an easy mark, okay? Stop a white guy coming out of a bar, okay? And I would say, "Sir, I apologize. I need some help. Can you help me? Look, my name is so and so and so," and I was showing my card, my ID, and everything. And I would say, "My boyfriend and I just had a fight. He took my purse." I said, but I need some gas in my car. That's my car right up the street right there. I don't have gas. Do you think you could let me borrow $10? And I was so good at it. They would reach in their back and pull their wallet out. "Is 10 all you need?" I would say, "Well, no, I have the money for the gas, but I have to rent the gas can." And he said, "Well, is that all you need?" And I tell you, it worked every single time. And I'm talking about, learning these manipulative ways, these conniving ways of getting things and being dishonesty and the deceit of it all, that comes along with that lifestyle with the drugs. I mean, I never thought that I would be in that place. But that's exactly where it took me.
So definitely not the valedictorian of the
I'm not the valedictorian anymore.
No.
I was valedictorian for another class. Yeah, but not that anymore.
When you had the media attention around your being arrested, your daughter, is going to be shamed.
Yeah.
You feeling that shame. Your parents are just heartbroken.
Yeah.
The thing I find so interesting that I think people don't understand is, how is that not enough?
My parents, my family, they did for me what they could. I'm glad that they did for me what they could. They went to a judge. They went to a probate judge, and her name is Jackie Belton. And I always have to give her a shout out. I always have to give Judge Jackie Belton a shout out. And they went to her and they told her what was going on with their daughter. And Judge Jackie Belton she put me in treatment for the very first time. Wow. I went to treatment the first time for 31 days. I did whatever they told me to do in treatment. When I got out of treatment, though, I had this big check waiting for me, because all of that money that I had acquired and saved up in my pension, when I was teaching school for 18 years, I had $36,000 waiting for me. Back in 2001, and $36,000, you know.
A lot of money.
A lot of money.
It's a lot of gas cans.
Yes. And so I went through it. It took me a year to go through it. 1 year to go through it, to smoke through it. And I tried so hard to do the right things with it, but the drugs were overwhelming. It was just overwhelming, and I had money and I could get as much as I wanted, you know, and it was just overwhelming. Mm-hmm. It really was just overwhelming. By 2003, I went back to treatment again. My family put me back in treatment again. Judge Jackie Belton, she told me, if you don't stop smoking, Lallie, I'm going to put you in jail. And so...
Did you get arrested again?
No, I didn't get arrested again. I got arrested several times in between there for silly stuff, ridiculous stuff. But the damage had already been done. And so I went to treatment that last time. And I went for 41 days that time. And something changed. I went to a facility here in South Carolina called Mars Village. Mm-hmm. And when I went the first time, it was out at Faison Drive, and it was like a summer camp. Oh, it was nice. They had the pond back there and the geese and the woods, and it was fresh air, and it was very nice, very nice. The second time I went on the treatment, Faison Drive had been closed down because they were doing renovations out there. This time, I was up on Bull Street in a real mental ward where you could hear the door clanging shut behind you, and there were all these ladies there on this ward. It was a ward, and it was something different this time. I would go to meetings. There was a wonderful group of people that would come out and bring meetings, you know, recovery meetings out to the facility and whatnot. And there was a lady that came out, and she shared her story, and it was real similar to my story. And I kind of attached myself to her, you know, because I hadn't heard anybody share anything like that before. And so when it was time for me to get out, you know, she came and she talked with me, and she asked, you know, what did I want to do? And I said, well, if you have a bed for me where you work, I'll be more than happy to come there. I would love to come there. And that's what got me started on this part of the recovery journey. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I tell you, you would think that, you know, getting arrested many times, getting to the place where you know what color t-shirt to put on because you're getting ready to go down to Alvin S. Glenn. That's where it took me. I knew what color t-shirt I needed to have on so they wouldn't take my t-shirt when I got down the road. You know, if you don't have on a certain color t-shirt, they take your t-shirt. Because I don't know why, but
you just knew you were going to.
I just knew I was going to a detention center. You know, I was at home minding my own business one day. My neighbor called the police on me. They came in. You know, I had an old warrant. Okay. And I got arrested. And I said, well, please let me go in the house and put on a t-shirt. You know, call a female officer because I want to go, because it's cold down there. It's always cold down there. And I wanted to have a t-shirt on. And I mean, I'm talking about someone, you know, who had grown up in such a loving, caring, you know, nurturing village. And someone who had been to school and completed school, someone, you know, had several degrees and whatnot, and had taught America's children, you know, knowing what kind of t-shirt they need to have on to go to jail. That's where my life had gone. That's just how far down the rabbit hole my life had gone. That's just how far down, you know, the drugs took me, you know, to my parents who were elderly at the time, you know, because I didn't get in here until 44. And so my parents being elderly and the shame and the embarrassment that I brought in, because remember now, my parents were pretty big up in the community, in the neighborhood. Mom, teacher, dad, telephone man. They both retired and stuff. And now here it is, their youngest daughter, the one that they had pinned all their hopes on, all their dreams on. And I'm getting arrested all the time and knowing what color t-shirt I needed to have on to go down to Alvin S. Glenn, to go to jail. It was quite a fall.
It's all how we deal with what we're dealt. Love's only real because it's felt. So if we go pretend.
So you got into recovery, and what was that like in the beginning? Tell us, because I know when I got in, I just couldn't imagine 20 minutes, much less 20 days. What was yours like?
Well, I tell you, it's a challenge. It really is. If there's anyone who's new, who's just coming in, be patient. Keep coming back. Keep trying. I came in March of 2003 when I got out of the treatment facility the second time. I came in March, and I did. I didn't have my heart into it. My heart wasn't into it. I was just basically doing what they told me to do.
When you say came in, you mean came into recovery?
Into recovery, yeah. I came into recovery. I was living at that recovery house, but my heart wasn't in it. And I still had thoughts and desires to use. I still wanted to use. I still wanted to take a smoke. I still wanted to take a drink. And with 65 days clean, on Memorial Day weekend in 2003, I used. Yeah, it was 65 days clean. I thought I could get away with it. See, that's one thing. That's one thing that, our affliction, our disease tells us is that nobody will know. And it's a liar. It's a liar every single time. They found out that I had used, but it's something about those ladies where at the recovery house that I was in, they believed in me, even though I didn't believe in myself. And the lady that I was telling you about, who told me her story, she worked there, and she said, Lallie, she said, listen, she said, either you can stay here and get this thing, or you can get up out of my house. I'ma stay. I'ma do what y'all tell me to do. And that was it. And my new clean date became May 27, 2003, right after Memorial Day weekend. So Memorial Day weekend is always, a reminder is coming, and I always get excited this time of year. Because I know it's coming, and I always get excited. I always look forward to it. And so that was 2003, and in May of this year, I can't believe it. 20 years. I can't believe it. I didn't think I could stay clean for 20 minutes. I didn't think I could stay clean for 20 days. And when I got a year clean and they were giving me all these balloons and cards and stuff, it's just unbelievable to me. Because we forget about the places where the disease took us. We forget about the bizarre things we did. The gas can line. Who comes up with gas can lines? We forget, about where we came from, all the wonderful upbringing that I had. We forget about the dark places where, the disease or your alcoholism can take you. We forget about those things. And that's right where the disease wants you. That's right where it wants you. And it has an opportunity to attack. And when you go to, a gathering with your friends, you're going to the fish fry, going to the family reunion, and there's cold ones floating around, the cans sweating and all kind of stuff. You see the commercial, you see the people, New Year's Eve, and everybody's partying and having a drink and everything, and you think that you can have one, but it's not going to work. All it does is it opens up that door like I said before, the genie is out the bottle all over again. And it's hard to get, try to imagine getting King Kong in a cave, in a cage. Yeah. You can't get King Kong back in that cage. He is just going crazy. And that's how it is when you relapse. Be careful, because a lot of people don't make it back after a relapse. A lot of people don't make it back after a use. I'm glad that, I used and I got caught, but I had just a little bit of willingness to try it again. A lot of people don't come back after a use. In my recovery process, one of the things that I wanted to do was to work on a lot of things. I had a lot of things I wanted to work on. And growing up in the environment and the era that I did grow up in, I wanted to work on my own personal prejudices. And so I prayed and I asked God to help me with that, and in my step work to help me with that. And so he gave me some things. He presented me with some things. One of the things he presented me with was 2 young ladies who were white to sponsor. And that was a real experience. And one of the young ladies, she was Muslim as well. And so that, those kinds of things are real life experiences that have helped me, and enhanced my recovery. And it has chipped away at that prejudice. Little by little, those things can be chipped away at. One of the best things that has helped was that my daughter came home one day, and she brought this guy home with her, and he was a white guy. And I've always been the community activist now. I've always been, hey, and one of the things in my studies and whatnot, and in my relationship with God, he told me that, Lallie, I can't use you if you have any kind of prejudice or any kind of anger or any kind of angst against anyone. I don't care how they look, where they come from, I can't use you in the ministry. And so, and that's why I'm sure that he has presented me with having the 2 young ladies, to sponsor them, to start getting it, this change to occur. And so that was, a lesson. And then my daughter bringing home, her boyfriend, and she was very instrumental in that. These young kids, let me tell you about these young kids. These young kids don't care nothing about this stuff. They don't care about race. They don't care about that stuff. People are just people. And I've had to, be teachable by her. But anyway, my daughter, she wanted to, she brought this young man home, and, he was a white guy. And, we were surprised a little bit, but he was just as nice as he could be, and he quiet, very laid back, and his name is Justin, and he's just as sweet as can be. Justin is from a small town up in North Carolina, in rural North Carolina. Just that right there will evoke things in somebody's mind, about what goes on in rural North Carolina. Lots of, milling plants and cotton fields and stuff in this area. Beautiful, beautiful area. But she wanted to date this guy, and they dated for a very long time, and their relationship blossomed and everything. And I told Justin, I said, look, it's time for you to make an honest woman out of my daughter. It's time for y'all to get married. And so they decided to get married. And my daughter has always loved Halloween, and so they had a Halloween wedding in 2021. And it was very beautiful. They got married up in North Carolina. I talked to his dad, and his dad is a musician, and I said, did Kelly ask you to do anything for the wedding? And he said, no. I said, well, look, we're gonna go above her head. I want you to sing a song at the wedding. so that everybody could be involved. And he said, sure. Justin's mom has passed away. She's gone on. And so he sung a song that he sung to his mom, Have I Told You Lately That I Love You? Mm-hmm. And of course, there wasn't a dry eye at the wedding, and it was a beautiful wedding outside, October, and it was warm, very beautiful day.
And you officiated it. And
I officiated it. And that's something. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about, the crackhead mama, when she was in the 6th grade or so, and I was concerned about her getting picked on at school because her mama had gotten arrested. And here I am, years later, officiating at her wedding. And it was just so beautiful. The dad sung, Have I Told You Lately That I Love You? And he said, before they got married, he said, we're going to have to do what we can do to get these kids to jump the broom. And I'm like, okay, we're going to get them to jump this broom. So I got a broom that I had at the house, an old broom, and I wrapped it with her colors, which was purple and black. And I wrapped the ribbons around that broom and made it real pretty. And didn't tell her about it because, no, mom, we don't want to do that, so we didn't tell her about it. And so I got the oldest member from Justin's family, which was his grandmother, and the oldest member from Kelly's family, which is my sister, her aunt. And they called them up, and they came and they laid the broom down for them to jump over. Wow. And it was just so wonderful. It was so wonderful to have those families to join together, in love, and those kids' love. And that's what we need to, be trying to grab onto in this country. We need to be coming together behind these children's love and kind of, put some of that stuff behind us, that has happened, to come together in their love. And it was just beautiful in doing that. Yeah.
It's awesome. It's such a great story. It's a gift to the program. The people out there that are watching that are thinking about stopping something, whatever it is they might be addicted to, what's something you would tell them?
One of the most important things that I had to learn was that I was powerless in and of myself. That I am powerless over this malady, this disease that we have, that I can't control it. That I can stop and I can stay stopped with the help of other people who have gone through it, who are living clean, who are living sober, that I can stay stopped with the help of a loving power that's greater than myself. Be that power my family, that power my spouse, my friends, my recovery community. Be that power that's greater than myself, a loving God, as he may express himself, whether he be Buddha, Allah, Confucius, a tree, or even if you are agnostic or atheist. No God. But I've seen countless other people stay clean, stay sober, by not using one day at a time, by staying in community with other recovering people, and getting outside of oneself. A lot of people, lots of times, I hear newer members talk about how they think about it all the time. Get outside of that and help somebody else. Make a phone call to somebody that you know, and talk to them about what you're feeling. Guess what? They may need to talk to you about something that they're going through, and that gets you out of those thoughts. Those thoughts is right here in between. It's right in between. It's in here. That's where it all is, right in there. And once I get outside of that and start doing something different, then I can recover successfully. I was watching something and it was about a mouse. They had a mouse. All he had to do was hit the button to get some drugs. Hit the button and get drugs. And so they set him in that one environment, and then they put him in another environment where he had wheels and tubes and tunnels and stuff to go in and other things to do. and he just forgot all about the button where he could get the drugs. So if we get to a place where we're doing other things, helping somebody, being on our jobs, being productive on our jobs, it'll get me out of thinking about it all the time and wanting it all the time when I'm doing something else other than, hitting the button. Hitting the button, hitting the bottom. Don't hit the button. Don't hit that button. Do something productive. Do something productive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lallie. This has been awesome.
Thank
so
you
good to
so
see
much
you
for
and
asking me. I appreciate it.
Opening up to us, and I know that it's great. It's great to see you and hear you always.
It's great to see
and,
you.
And I hope you all enjoyed that as well as I did, and that I believe you will also. Thank you for tuning in to Our Table is Ready, and please subscribe to our channel on YouTube, hit the like button, leave a comment. That helps us a lot. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Bye now.
Thank you.